Good evening, Reading Choral Society. We have come to the last rehearsal of our 2019-2020 season. Here we are online, like it or not. Thanks for continuing to engage as we go on with this. We have a challenging rehearsal for you tonight. We are working on the new Gloria by Daniel Justin, written for us, which hopefully we will be able to premiere sometime next season. But it would be great to get a head start on this piece so that we could work it up. So I've got a nice rehearsal for you there. I'll just tell you a little bit about the piece right now. It's short, but it does have some high material for the basses because he wanted to compose it instead of all spread out in close harmony, which brings the basses up in order to cut through all of the noise that the children's choir, who outnumber us currently unless we recruit a whole bunch before then, so that we can cut through the sound that the children's choir is making. A couple of announcements before we get to the rehearsal, one of which is that you, especially if you are a lower voice, you may find it advantageous if you're planning to sing in this rehearsal rather than just listening and studying silently, to take the final warm-up very seriously, and EB has a wonderful one for us. Thank you to all the section leaders for working along. I also am so excited to share with you our new learning tracks for the Gloria. We made our own, and it's the first time I've ever made learning tracks where I haven't been involved making noise myself. The soprano, tenor, and bass have been done by our section leaders. Marceline sends her apologies, but Robin was willing to step in, and she's having quite a busy time finishing her studies online at Temple this spring. So a big thanks to Marceline for doing that warm-up last week. But this week, we've got Robin helping the altos out. She was glad to step in and quite actually enjoyed the excuse. So, and Mary Bishop on the piano. So we've got our team having helped me make these videos along the way. And for me, that's been a very powerful and helpful thing. And I hope for you, it's been a nice bit of variety and human contact beyond just Graham on the screen. So those resources, as well as the score, are in a separate link for you. I will provide some links down below at the end of these announcements because I want you to be aware of them. But also, we want to protect the new piece, which isn't yet published through a publishing house and hasn't yet been performed, because that's our job. So until that happens, I want to make sure that it doesn't leak, as it were. So I'll put a little bit up on the screen, but mostly you're going to need a score. We've got a PDF of the score for you if you need it, but also I know many of you will have brought home your hard copy, depending on what our plans there were. So announcements before we get to it. We are going to meet one more time next week, and a different sort of meeting. For those of you that have been keeping your Tuesday nights chorally sacred to the Reading Choral Society, we will meet at 7 o'clock for a short time on Zoom. We thought a lot about how to do our usual end of the year potluck, and you'll have seen information already, and you'll see more from Susie in email. But we are looking at doing a fundraiser because food banks are having a lot of trouble in lieu of the meal, the potluck itself, and in lieu of being able to get together and share a bit of social time and a final sort of end of year bit of singing. We thought we'd do something on Zoom. I know Zoom isn't something that's going to work for everyone, but in lieu of not doing anything at all, we thought we would do that. And I really urge as many of you as possible to try to figure out how to make that work. Zoom's one of those things you can treat it like a conference call. So even if it's just audio, you can phone in, or you can be here on a computer or a smartphone or iPad or other device like that if you have one accessible and a reliable internet connection to use. We're just going to get together for a little bit. I'll do a little bit of a quiz game to give us a bit of socialization. And for those on Zoom, if you're able to turn on your camera, it's just such a powerful thing to be able to see each other's faces, to be able to hear each other's voices in real time rather than one at a time calling each other on the phone. I hope you're staying in touch with the friends you've made in your sections. Those who are new to the choir, maybe those connections weren't quite strong enough yet, but I hope you know that we're thinking of you as well, and I hope that you're able to Zoom in with us. So that's our plan, just a short time at 7 o'clock if you can find a way to use Zoom and a reliable internet connection or on your phone. Now, before we get to warm-ups, I have one more thing I'd like to draw your attention to. With our limited technological abilities, we've done the best we can to stay connected, and I'm grateful for your part in making the effort to do that as well. However, There have been some great efforts being made by people with more technological resources, and I want to make sure that you're aware of those. If you're someone who learns notes slowly and struggles with that, this may not be a good fit for you, but if you're willing to put in the time, it might work anyway. And if you're someone who picks things up relatively quickly in choir, I strongly urge you to check this out if you're looking for a bit of a way to scratch that choral singing itch now that we're done with the Reading Choral Society over the summer. A classmate of mine from the University of York, Jamie Wright, we were bassists together in a number of choirs and ensembles, and he's sung with Les Canards Chantants, my own group, as well. He and a couple of his colleagues, through the goodness of their hearts, they are taking donations to buy them a pint, as it were, have created something called the Stay-at-Home Choir. Very powerful initiative. They're doing a project every 2 or 3 weeks, and they're doing projects connecting up with famous ensembles. The first project was with the London Philharmonic doing the opening of Vivaldi's Gloria. The second project was the Billy Joel, an arrangement of a Billy Joel tune, And So It Goes, with the King Singers. It hasn't come out just yet. Maybe it actually has today. I haven't checked. And right now we're coming up on a deadline tonight, actually, for a James Macmillan piece. He's a modern Scottish composer with the famous choral ensemble, the 16. Many of these groups have connections to England. I've heard they might do something with the Swingle Singers coming up or other projects like that. Jamie is a member of the Swingle Singers, so I'd be surprised if he missed that opportunity. Anyway, it's not the same as singing together with people, but if you can get past recording yourself, ideally with video by their instructions, and sending in your recording to their site, they will stitch it together. The first project, I think, had over 200 people. The second project had over 700, and I think the thing's just growing. I don't know how they're keeping up with all of the editing of this together. Nonetheless, Stay-at-Home Choir, link down below. I strongly encourage you to sign up for their email announcement so that you find out about their project should you be interested in taking part. And the nice thing about this is, if you think you want to take part, you start working on it, you get frustrated, you miss the deadline, you don't feel like it, no damage done. So it's a resource there for you. In a similar mindset, Eric Whitacre years ago sort of pioneered this idea of virtual choirs with what he called his virtual choir project. He did, I think he's done 6 of them. I was in numbers 3 and 4. 4 is really weird if you look it up. A lot of animated figures, and it's strange. At any rate, he is doing another virtual choir project with a piece that he wrote specifically about being isolated and separated by the pandemic, and I think that's going to be really powerful. It's not out yet, but the Eric Whitacre project, you can sign up for an email announcement so that you know when he launches it, and then you get the materials of how to learn your part and all the instructions on how to record yourself and upload. So if you have the tech capability and the interest in doing that, it doesn't take much. You don't have to do a high quality recording of yourself. They'll take what you give them. Just do your best. Again, links for both of those down below, and I'm sure there are other initiatives out there. So find ways to stay connected, find ways to keep singing, and that's more powerful technology than what we've been able to do with my limited abilities learning on the fly. All right, well, plenty of announcements for right now, but do stay in touch over the summer, and for the moment, I'd like to continue on with rehearsals. So, Evie, warm-ups, take it away.
Good evening, Reading Choral Society members. It's so nice to be with you all this evening and to make some music and some singing together, even in these strange and different creative circumstances. I thought I would start our warm-ups tonight out here in the nice, cool, fresh air where I've actually been doing most of my Reading Choral Society singing. I've been walking up and down my apartment complex, moving my legs and getting my blood flowing as I sing and I warm up with all of you every Tuesday night. And so that's where we're starting. So we're going to take a nice big stretch because we are our entire instrument. And so we're going to take a big old stretch up if you're in your seat or on a chair. Breathe in. Try and touch whatever ceiling you have, and sigh out. And if you're wondering what you hear behind me, that's a highway. if I squint my ears really tightly, I can almost imagine that it's that it's an ocean or a nice, cool, calming waves ebbing in and out. So squint your ears for me too. Thanks. One more time. Breathing in, pushing up, pulling down, and sighing out. If you'd like to do that again, go ahead and pause the video. Maybe stretch out a couple other appendages that might feel tight or you might have forgotten about during the day. And we're going to continue our warm-up inside because it's getting a little chilly out here. Okay, so now we're back inside, and we're going to continue along with that stretching and just to start to stretch some internal aspects a little bit more deeply. And for that, I've brought a prop. And some of you folks might know this already, but we want to get that nice, low, deep breath. And one of the best ways that I know how to do that is if I imagine or have some flowers in front of me. So if I were imagining this, I might grasp an imaginary flower, pull it up to my nose, and breathe in as fully and deeply as I can. And then sigh out. Now I might pick another flower and do it again. And one last time. Notice how your back might be expanding, your lower belly might be loosening and releasing. All of these things are really great for our singing. One last time. Pick whatever beautiful flower that doesn't cause you allergies, and we're going to do it one last time. That was a beautiful bouquet we all just did. So now with that nice, released, relaxed sigh, we're going to move into more directed singing. And with that nice, very vibrant, buzzy, tickly sound, and make sure you're really getting that not a That's not going to give you as much as if you have a nice, full, and directed. We're going to do a pattern of a 5, and then we're going to move up to the octave and back down. So I'm going to demonstrate it once, and then I'd like you to join me. So with that, keep that imagery of the flower if that's helping you. And that's how it's going to sound. I'm going to let you know when we're going to move down by just giving you a nice little flick. Here we go. And a little bit more slide in your sound that I did not just demonstrate. A little bit more of a floating down. The goal here is to really connect all the way through our range. Here we go, and couple more. Few more. Couple more. Drop down the octave when you need to. range is where that flower imagery can be really, really super helpful because it keeps us nice and relaxed and grounded down. And even while we're grounding down, that breathing in smell through our nose actually naturally lifts our soft palate, which is especially important for all of our singing, but definitely for this higher range that it comes out easy. Here we go, and a couple more. Three more. And two more. Last one. Really, really take a nice low deep breath. Good for you. Good for trying something new. Good for getting back into it this Tuesday. Okay, so now we just did a nice release and relax and connection through our range. And so now we stretched our big body, we stretched our air. I'd like us to move up and think about connecting our air to our articulators. So we're going to keep going with that nice low and connected breath. And then I want you to just blow that air out for as long as possible. Ready? On a just a sound. Breathing in for 4 and out for as long as you can. Ready? Good. Some of you might be going longer. Some of you might have stopped before. And now, so notice that feeling of connected through breath. And I want you to now get our lips and our tongue involved. So we're going to breathe in for 4 again. And we're just going to pant an F sound out. So it'll sound like this. Breathing in for 4. 1, 2, 3. And whatever speed your panting's at. Good. One last time on an F sound. And notice how my whole torso is pulsing a little bit. That's what we want. Now we're going to do the same thing on a P sound, as in puppy. All right, here we go. Breathing in for 4. Good. And now we're going to do it on an L sound. All right, so just the that comes with that sound. No phonation at this point, just air and just your tongue moving. So breathing in for 4. One more time. Breathing in for 4. Until you're at the end of your air. Good for you. All right, so now we're going to take that through thread, that almost warmth that we felt in our torso of panting that L sound out, and we're going to put it to tone. We're going to put it to sound. And on a 5-note pattern, la 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 la, la 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 la. So keep that fast speed panting going, and we'll go up and then down. Here we go. In for 2 each time. 1, 2, la 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 la. 1, la 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 la. 1, 2, la 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 la. 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 And back up. La 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 la. La 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 la. Make sure that your tongue is the only thing that's moving and that your jaw is nice and release and relax. If you're starting to notice a little bit of tension, take a moment just now to release it. Back and forth. Make the silliest face you can at me. And let's keep going. I'm keeping on up. Here you go. Keep that panting, that fast speeding air going. Here you go. 1. La 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 la. 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 Remember to breathe. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. 2 more. La 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 la. And la 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 la. Good. Okay. So take a moment to notice where you're at in your voice. If you need to do any of these exercises over again, or if you need to do something else for your voice, go ahead and take that time for yourself now. And I'll see you on YouTube. All right.
Well, you've seen enough of the inside of my house for the past 7 weeks, so I thought maybe we'd pop outside in this lovely weather for our next rehearsal, which is indeed on Daniel Justin's new Gloria. To get the score for the Gloria, I'll share a little bit on the screen in a moment, but I'm going to be a bit more careful than I usually am with the public domain materials because it's in copyright, has not yet been published, and we haven't yet done the first performance. So please join me in being cautious with that and keep the PDF and the link inside the Choral Society, but you need to go back to the email to find the other link to the materials, because I'm not going to put the link to the materials down below in this video. There will be a couple of other links down below that I'll refer to later, but not for this piece. So, Daniel Justin's new Gloria. It's a fantastic piece, and I'm looking forward to working on it with you in person one of these days. If you have the music at home, because we did hand it out, you could refer to the paper copy as well. But if you haven't yet got the PDF up on your screen or a hard copy from your folder at home, please take a moment, pause me, and do that. Okay, first I would like to talk through the piece a little bit. It's based on Psalm 103, but he uses Gloria, Gloria in excelsis Deo, which is the phrase that the angels sang to the shepherds on Christmas, as a bit of an antiphon coming back over and over again. So that's the basic structure of the piece. The children's choir sings it, and then we echo them, and then it's interspersed Psalm 103 verses in between that. It's a wonderfully raucous composition, which I think works particularly well for a children's choir. One of the reasons I asked Daniel Justin to write this for us is because he has a particular expertise and way with writing for children's choirs. It'll push them a little bit. He's got some good range to it, but I think this will be a nice stretch for them, and an excellent piece that will be used many, many times after he's published it as well, which gets the name of the Gloria Singers and the Reading Choral Society and the good work we're doing out into the repertoire. So hopefully you've got the copy open by now. If you don't, again, pause me, and I'm about to have us looking at it together, but you've got to be looking at your own copy right now. I want to talk you through the piece. Look here at the beginning, you'll see our commission note up at the top. You'll see Daniel Justin, a few years younger than myself, born in 1990. Very talented young man, excellent, excellent organist. He's also the head of music at Norwich Catholic Cathedral in England, in East Anglia. And I met him when we were both working at Leeds Cathedral, which is in the center of the north of England. He was the organ scholar, and I was one of the choral scholars singing. Actually, I'd been hired to sing bass, but they were short on alto, so that was where I moved up and sang alto professionally for a year in my falsetto. So Daniel and I got to know each other then, and I've kept up with his budding young career, and he's been publishing all sorts of great material for children's choirs, particularly cathedral choirs. So I was in touch with him about this project, and I'm so pleased. So you'll see his tempo marking isn't just fast, it's with great joy, which I think is fantastic for this psalm and this group of kids, because it's so much fun getting them together, getting them to come from their different schools and to sing with us. So that's, to me, what this piece is really about. You'll see, go ahead and look with me. You'll see it starts with the piano or organ part. And after 3 measures of that, notice that's the children's choir. So sopranos, don't get too excited. That's the children's choir singing there for the first 2 measures of voices. And we come in at measure 6. If you find measure 6, you'll see that we all start in unison. So we're all singing together with the kids, and then we break into harmony in measure 7, which is the second measure that we've been singing. So that's the first time we have vocal harmony in the piece. And that's the antiphon. That comes back over and over again. Go ahead and scroll or flip to the next page. On page 2, you'll see in measure 10, we come in with the children's choir in the first instance of the psalm. And that's exactly the first time the organ or piano drops out. They hit a note right as we come in, bless the Lord, and then we're a cappella for a little more than a measure hanging over that bar line. And then the organ is back in, and we continue singing, O Lord God, how great you are. And here you'll see it goes into a couple of time signature changes to really swing and add some joy to the piece and to match the syllables and the sort of the stresses of the language. Daniel's done a nice job with that. So I'm going to actually put this up on the screen later on, and we'll work on the rhythm for a few minutes. But you'll see how many are your works, O Lord. We've got 3/8, 3/8, 3/8, and then a 2/4 bar, and then 3/7/8 bars, which actually 2 of them are the same and the third one's a little bit different. We'll get to that. Go ahead and keep looking. Down at the bottom of that page number 3, you'll see we're back into the antiphon. The children sing Gloria in Excelsis Deo, and then on the next page, page 4, we join them echoing and breaking into harmony again. The next verse of the psalm is in measure 29. Sopranos, note that you're taking a little break here. It says alto, and he didn't clutter the score by adding rests for the soprano while you're out. He just says alto to let you know. So it's the children's choir, the altos, the tenors, and the basses, beginning the next verse of the psalm. We've got another pair of 3/8 measures. Go ahead on to page 5. And then the sopranos come in unison with the choristers, the children. You wrapped it with the ocean like a cloak. And then the kids sing The Waters Stood Higher. Sopranos and altos sort of layer over top of that. And then third in are the tenors and basses. And finally, stood higher than the mountains, which is a big sort of text painting, which I think will work very well for the children. Then we're back into the antiphon again. Gloria, Gloria. Slowing down maybe just a little bit in measure 45 and 46, going into a key change and a slower tempo. If you'll flip to page 7 now, please. Measure 47, more relaxed tempo, a little bit slower, and very simple and peaceful. And this is where it's just going to be the children for a while. My plan is to use a semi-chorus that will be auditioned out of each of the schools, and they'll treat it a little bit like a solo, though there might well be 30 of them or so. All right. Go ahead and scroll down to where it says full. You'll see at measure 58, we come in with them in the middle of that verse. Very quietly, you send forth your spirit to create them. It's also very still. And you renew the face, notice the key change, and into harmony, the face of the earth. And then Mary speeds things up on the piano again and down to page 9. Tempo primo. Back like it was at the beginning, in comes the antiphon. Gloria, Gloria, we join them in measure 76. Go ahead and flip on to page 10. We've got another verse. I will sing to the Lord all my life, make music to my God while I live, which really for these Catholic school children, that's what the Gloria Singers is about. That's why they're singing in their choir often, is partly for the joy of singing and partly for the social atmosphere of it, and partly also what their church is teaching them is that singing and music is a way of praising the Creator. So it's great to have that verse in here. Daniel picked out the psalm himself with that in mind. You'll see again here little bits of a cappella sections when the organ or piano is not playing. And then we go back into the same sort of thing we did at the beginning of the piece. Bottom of the page there, measure 84, 3/8, 3/8, 3/8, 2/4, and you know what's coming. Next page, we have 2 7/8s, and then a third 7/8 that's got a different rhythm to it. I'll show you in a bit. And then into a 4/4, and we're almost at the end of the piece. We've got Bless the Lord, O my soul, which is the beginning of the psalm. And it's also, he uses the same tune as the Gloria antiphon. That's coming in at 92. And it actually starts with the basses and tenors this time. Basses and tenors, you're in unison at measure 92. That's not like it was when it was labeled altos and sopranos sat out. And then the sopranos and altos and choristers come in, and we've got these big octaves going, Bless the Lord, O my soul. And the piece ends with the piano going da-da-da, da-da-da, and then we sing Gloria, Gloria, bum, 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 Deo. That Deo being on beat 4 is going to be a tricky thing to get. But there you go. Composed in Norwich, UK, December 2019. So I'm going to share my screen now. Well, let's start at the end. So you're welcome to look at your score if you've got one handy, or you can look at the screen for these little segments that I'm going to work on next. Just want to work on a couple of rhythms together. So at the end, we have a pretty simple rhythm because we're doing it over and over again. It sounds like this: 3 and 4, Gloria, Gloria. 1, 2, 3, Deo. Now, you would expect something to happen on the final downbeat. It's rare to end a piece on the final beat like that, on a weak beat, beat 4. But this is triple F and accented, so we'll have to get used to it. Try it with me a couple of times, just speaking it fast. 1, 2, ready? Gloria, Gloria. 1, 2, 3, Deo. And if you look at the piano rhythm, that's a bad idea. It'll mess you up. So in that last measure, she goes, ready? Bop, 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 bop. Yeah. So I'm going to, instead of counting 1, 2, 3 Deo, I'm going to leave you to count 1, 2, 3 Deo in the last measure. And I'm going to go bop, bop where the piano would. So here we go. Measure 96. Ready? And dot, dot, dot. Here we go. And Gloria, Gloria, bop, 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 Deo. All right. Just a quick little moment on that rhythm. Let's look at another spot. If you're following along in your copy, please find the bottom of page 2, measure 14, where it goes into 3/8. It's a little bit harder for us as the adults because we don't have the words to help us get that rhythm. Would you for a moment actually look at the words of the verse, the words of the children's choir part, and join me just reading the rhythms here on this system at the bottom of page 2. So ready? 3, speak it. O Lord God, how great you are, how many are your works, oh. And I'm just going to stop there for the moment. Let's do that again. 1, 2, ready, and O Lord God, how great you are, how many are your works, oh. So it goes into this wonderful sort of triple time on the many are your works, oh. And then when you get to the next system, let's go ahead and do that. It's in 2/4. So Lord, the earth is full, the earth is full, the earth is full of your, and I'm not too worried about the riches because here we are just working on that 7/8. So check it out. 7/8 is an uneven measure, kind of like the 3/8 are, and you group it differently. Do you see in measure 18 how the very first rest in the piano in the tenor and bass is a dotted quarter rest? That's a grouping of 3, and then 2 groupings of 2. So it goes 1 and 2 and 3 and. That's how you break up the 7. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. But the third measure of 7/8 is the other way around. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and So I'm going to say that a couple of times, and if you look at your music and follow along, eventually we'll get to the words. But join me in this, please. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and riches. Let's do that again. Ready? And 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and riches. That's the tough rhythm in the piece. Well, I'm going to have to work that with the kids too, I'm sure. Let's try it with me clicking nice and loud in the microphone here, and with you trying to speak the words with me. So we're going to start with the earth. So ready? The earth is full, the earth is full, the earth is full of your riches. Again, ready? The earth is full, the earth is full, the earth is full of your riches. In terms of repetition, that actually works pretty nicely compositionally, I think, because when you say something a third time, often we change the stress. The earth is full, the earth is full, the earth is full of your... So that double rhythm where it actually tightens it up a little bit at the front is pretty fun there. So those are the rhythms I really wanted to work over with you. And in terms of where we go with the rehearsal next, I'm going to conduct you in the full piece. And before we do that, you are welcome to pause this and go work with the learning tracks like you have been with other things in terms of the sectionals. So I I'm excited to provide those. Those are in the link that you were provided in the email, the other link with the copyrighted materials. And go ahead and spend some time with your section leader and get to know the notes of this a little bit. You'll note that there's a slow version and an up to speed version to choose between. And as I mentioned, and also the last thing I'm going to do here is I will conduct you running through a full version of the piece. If you don't want to take the time right now or don't have the time to work through it sectional wise, or you just want to take a crack at it anyway, I encourage you to just leave this video playing and I will conduct you through the piece, and you can try with your hard copy, or if you can get it up on the screen as a PDF. Just even if you don't feel ready to sing along with the full recording yet, would you actually follow along your part with your finger on the page? It's funny, I tell college students to do this and they feel like it's more of an elementary school music thing, but actually, if you follow along while you're listening with your finger on the page, following along your voice part, it really helps your brain make those connections even if you're not singing. So those are your options. You may pause me and break up for sectionals right now and then come back and sing through it. Or you may just keep going and sing through it with me, or just follow through it with me. And that's our rehearsal on the Gloria.
Gloria, Gloria, in excelsis Deo. Bless the Lord, O my soul, O Lord God, how great you are. The earth is full, the earth is full, the earth is full of your riches. Gloria, Gloria, in excelsis Deo. You founded the earth on its base, to stand firm from age to age. Wrapped it with the ocean like a cloak. The waters stood high, the waters, the waters, the waters. Gloria, Gloria, in excelsis Deo. You send forth your Spirit to create them, and you renew the face of the earth. Gloria, Gloria, in excelsis Deo. I will sing to the Lord all my life, make music to my God while I live. I find my joy, I find my joy, I find my joy in the Lord. Bless the Lord, O my soul, bless the Lord, O my soul. Gloria, Gloria, Deo.
Well, thank you for taking part in this final rehearsal of the 2019-2020 season. Not the way we thought the rehearsal would be. Oh, and thank you for coming up into this tree with me and trying to find different entertaining locations for us to work in. and this will be the last of them for now. As I said in the beginning, please do everything you can to join us for that little social moment at 7 o'clock next week on Zoom. I know that's not going to be accessible to everyone, but we figured better to do it than to not, and I think it'll be a very nice thing if we can see some of each other's faces, or just if you're phoning in, listen to each other's voices for a moment again live, unlike we've been able to. So here's a little view of my house. The busy road is on the other side of the house, and that's our back porch, and we've got a little bit of a backyard, which is lovely. For now, I just want to share my great appreciation of your taking the time to tune in and stay connected as members of the Reading Choral Society. There's a lot left to figure out, and we'll be working hard on that over the summer, and maybe send you a few materials now and then just to stay connected and let you know what we're up to. But for now, that's the end of our 2019-2020 season in a way that we did not really see coming. So I thank you much for your flexibility and hope you've enjoyed these sessions, and I hope that we find that they were useful when we get together again in the fall. But if I don't see you next week, thanks very much, and I really hope that I do.